The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. Got an app for that, How Mobile Apps Improve Productivity in the Field. My name is Allison Whitney, and just to give you a little bit of background on me, my role here at Newforma is currently as ConstructX product manager. I've also played a number of other roles throughout the years, but that is my primary role at the moment. So, and that's the hat I'm wearing today as we talk about some of the mobile apps productivity and how we can really improve some of those field management tasks and hopefully make your life a little bit easier with that. So that being said, I want to just give you a quick rundown on today's agenda, a couple housekeeping items, and then we'll just go ahead and jump right into it. So a little bit of what we're going to talk about today is first just some of those challenges that I think we're all familiar with when you're in the field in staying up to date and on task with some of those project tasks that we all run into and how we can improve some of our productivity there, make the lives of ourselves and our project team members a little bit easier. One of the ways we can do that is with mobile apps, and we'll take a look at some of the apps we have that will help streamline those processes for you. And just talk a little bit through some, if you decide you do want to use mobile apps, what are some strategies that you want to consider as you're deploying those to your teams on your projects. As far as housekeeping goes, if you have questions as we're going along, please feel free to put those into the questions or chat field, and we'll take a look at those at the end of the webinar. And then I'll give you some ways to contact us here at Newforma if you have questions after the webinar is done. So with that, we're going to go ahead and jump right into this. So what I want to talk about first, just briefly, is really the construction industry and some of the productivity issues that we see. So research, as the McKinsey Institute here as an example, research has shown that there's a gap between the construction industry productivity and the total global economy. And that's due to a lot of different factors. But what they see is that that amounts to about $1.6 trillion a year. So that's not insignificant. That's a lot of money being left on the table or that is costing us as we're trying to work through these projects. So one of the ways that we can try and close that gap and add that value back into the industry is really by implementing some cloud-based tools and in conjunction with that, some mobile apps, some ways to provide that data in near real time to our team members, have a little bit more transparency, and really try and cut down and eliminate some of those bottlenecks in communication that we get when we have to go through a lot of manual steps. So what we're going to look at here is, so where do we see these sinkholes? And I think we're probably pretty familiar with this. When we're looking at a project and we're getting toward the end of it, when we're getting to project closeout, looking at punch lists, work to complete, all of those things that you're dealing with on site in the field, all these little pieces and parts that need to get taken care of and coordinated. It can be very easy for those to get to be time sinks. If we're not getting the information in a timely manner to the specialty contractors, the subs, they may not have the right information to do their job right the first time, so we have to go through several iterations of that, for example. So what happens then is we can really find that we're wasting time there, we're losing the ability to really move quickly on things. And as we know, that's where some of those the lack of speed, the multiple iterations, things like that can really cost us in personnel and cost that way, but also possibly penalties if we're looking at delaying the project. So that being said, just to kind of focus back on that for a moment, when we're in the field and we're going through the process, if you don't have mobile apps, if you don't have a centralized project plan in place or a project software in place, you may be walking through the site, taking pictures on your phone, writing notes about each of the punch list items or things are coming across in the field. And then we're coming back and we have to translate that. We have to download those photos, upload them somewhere. Somebody probably like the project manager is filling out an Excel spreadsheet with that information or something else. And then they're having to, if you've done any markups, you may have to transfer those, or you may have to come back and mark those up before you can attach those images to an email, send them to the right person, and then by The same token, then those users are going to have to go out and pull that information in and do their work. So we're looking at a lot of extra administrative overhead here as we're going through the process, just to get the information where it needs to be. And then there's a good chance that if this happened a day or two ago and you send that and then the contractor's getting out there, that information may not be up to date anymore. Things may have changed on the site. So if something's sitting in email and it's static, it's very easy for that to get out of date quickly, which means that, again, those subs, they're missing that information they need that's the most up to date so they can do things correctly the first time. So all of that being said, what can we do, what can we do to improve that process? Well, one of the things we can do is look at something like a centralized cloud-based system that's going to let us manage our product and our project data in a single location that everybody can access quickly and easily. So that's, the basis of this is we've got something like ConstructX where you've got all of your project team members participating in that web-based product. Now, where the mobile apps come in is the mobile apps tie in to that system and upload quickly to that project that's out in the cloud. So it makes it easy for everyone on the team to get real-time data whenever they need it. So as we're looking at this, this diagram over here, what we're looking at is, so let's say now you're walking the site and you find a problem. And this can be, instead of it being limited to one person, multiple people. As long as they have the app, if they see something, they can do a quick snapshot of that, snap a picture, enter some basic information about that item, assign it to who it needs to be assigned to, like a drywall sub in this case, and then upload that back to the project. As that happens, then in real time, near real time, that sub who's been assigned to that is going to get an email notification that there's a punch list item assigned to them. They can click back through the link to get the most up-to-date information. What's nice about that is, let's say in between this process and the drywall sub picking that up, maybe the project manager has added some information based on what they're seeing in that punch list item. This subcontractor, as soon as they click in to, whether it's via an app or via the website, they're going to get that most up-to-date information. So again, hopefully shortcutting and eliminating that idea where there's static, out-of-date information on the project. Excuse me. So that's really this idea, and just to continue that a step further, excuse me, sorry, is that, again, we're really looking at syncing information back to that centralized cloud-based platform. And it really gives us some advantages. Again, it's one true version of the information. It's accessible anywhere you've got an internet connection. And what we're going to look at and focus on, really what we're talking about today, is in this field management quadrant. While there's certainly other pieces to the project, now we're looking at when we're hitting the end of the project, we want to use those mobile apps to get this information into the project and share that information with our teams on site so they can complete those processes as quickly and efficiently as possible. Now, one of the things I think we realize in the world we're in today, that pretty much everyone has a mobile device of some sort, right? I mean, whether you're using it just for personal things or you're using it on the job site for a project purpose, we've got technology in the field. So one of the things that we're really looking at with these mobile apps as well is, let's take advantage of technology we've already got out there and leverage that to make these projects run more smoothly. And we have found, even in our own, Newforma did a state of technology and AEC firms executive report in the past year or so, and what we found is, again, there's lots of technology out in the field, just really kind of reinforcing that this technology is there, we should take advantage of it to make our projects run more smoothly. So with all of that being said, what I want to do now is just take a couple moments. I'm going to talk briefly about a couple of the apps we're going to look at today, and then we're going to go right into a demo and really kind of show you how these work in the wild, if you will. So there are two main ones. When we're talking about things like punch list items, those things that are out on the site that need to be taken care of, there's really two halves to that. One is gathering that information, and then two is taking that information to go out, fix the problem, close out that punch list item. So for the find and grab that information piece, we have a capture app. as the name indicates. This one's available for the iPad or the iPhone. This lets you take a quick snapshot of something, photos, mark it up if you need to, assign it to someone, get the basic information in there, and send it up to the project so that it can get worked on. And then its companion app is something called the Tasks app. And again, as you might imagine, this is going to be on the flip side, you're the specialty contractor, you're out there on the site, you need information about these punch list items so you can take care of them quickly, efficiently, and correctly. And again, this one's available for the iPad or the iPhone, and it's going to let you manage punch list items. You can, again, take photos, say, look, this has been done. You can comment back and close those items out. So, and another piece of that is generating item reports, which we'll look at as well. But with that in mind, we're going to hop over here, and hopefully my technology will cooperate, and we'll stay in sync with my, excuse me, my iPad. So I'm working on an iPad at the moment, and I'm in the Capture app. So what happens with the Capture app is as soon as you are opening it, it assumes that you want to create a new item. So as soon as it opens, it's going to open up with a new form in place. And what you'll see here at the top is some basic information. So it remembers the last item type you created and also the last project you were working in. So those are sticky, which is nice if you're going through the site creating a bunch of things. It's likely you're creating them for the same project and probably the same type of item. But really all I need to do is tap through and change that if I want to. I'm going to leave that as it is for right now. The two most important pieces of information as we work with this are going to be the subject and the description. So again, I just tap in, and that's going to take me to the subject form. Now, if I've already created items, I have the option to just pick something from the list of suggestions of previous things I've created. If I don't want to do that, I can click in here and type. It'll bring up the keyboard and let me work with that as well. There's a little slow there, but bring up the keyboard. For me right now, since I am working with something, I know I've got it, I'm walking, looking at the floors, and I know there's something that has to be refinished. I'm going to just go ahead and tap on that refinish floor suggestion and use that. And you can see that fills in. Same thing for the description. I can just come in here, and again, if I've used things in the past, it'll let me pick from one of those, or I can type in something new. So I'm going to go ahead and pick something that I've already used. And once it catches up with me, there we go. Sorry, my casting is lagging a little bit there. So now I've got those basics filled in. Now the next piece I might want to look at here is locating this within the project. So what space is this in? And the list of spaces here is coming from ConstructX. We uploaded a spatial index to the project as part of the project setup. So now I have all those spaces available to me as I'm working in the app. Now you'll notice here it's saying displaying 36 of 84. In addition to being able to sort, I can also go ahead and filter, and this is true of most of the fields as we're working in the app. So in this case, I know I happen to be on level 1. I'm just going to show the spaces for level 1. I could pick a different space or multiple spaces if I want to. It really just depends on what I need to work with. And then you can see I can scroll through the list if I need to find a different one. It again also remembers, it's sticky, so it remembers the last selection I made, which was the 113 building office. But I could uncheck that and pick something else if I needed to. I could also go ahead and type in a search value up here. It just depends on what I need. I'm going to leave this where it is for the moment. So I can just go back to my details. And then in addition, there's a location option. This is going to be, again, something you configure as part of the software, the project setup, and you can pick whichever space or whichever location in that space makes sense. So I know this is something on the floor. I'm going to do that, and then I'll be able to come back to it. I can also assign this to someone at this point, or I can leave it unassigned if I need to. It just really depends where I am in the process. So I'm going to go ahead in here. Again, if I want, I can sort by name. I can also go ahead and type in a value. So let's say I know Mark is my my drywall contractor here. I can type him in and select him, and then just save that. And that's going to go ahead and go back to the main form. So those are kind of the pieces, parts of information that we can create here. And it's pretty straightforward. The fields are right there for you. Now, when I'm getting ready to send this in, one of my other options is I can either use the camera option here to take a live picture right as I'm on site, just take a picture of the problem and upload that to this punch list item as well, or I can pick from my existing camera roll. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and pick something I already have in my camera roll. I've got a photo there of the issue at hand, so I'm going to go ahead and select that. Well, as my display is catching up there. But I'm going to go ahead and select that, and then what I'll see is that is added to this punch list item automatically as part of the item. So when I go back and upload this to the project, that will be there as well. Now, if I'm working on an iPad, which I happen to be at the moment, I have an additional option to do some simple markups on this file to really kind of point out or highlight where the issue might be. So if I click on my image, sorry, there we go. So if I click on my image, that's going to bring up a very simple set of markup tools. And you can see those up here at the top. So pretty standard. You've got some text, you've got squares and circles, clouds, drawing tool, arrow, and so on. So really, let's say I want to make sure this is highlighted. You know, here's the issue. And then I've also got an area here I want to highlight. I can go ahead and add those markups as well. And then I can just click done when I'm ready to save those to that punch list item. And what we'll see as it comes up, all right, as it catches up with me, there we go, is that you'll be able to see that the original image and then the marked up image are attached as well. So once I've got all this information loaded up into this punch list item, I'm just going to go ahead and hit save, and that's going to save that item to my Capture app. Now what you'll see here is I have several items captured at the moment in the Capture app. So I've got a couple options. If I'm walking the site and I don't have a great internet connection at the moment, I want to just go through and spend time capturing all these items, I can do that. Once I'm back, you know, once I've completed one, I can just hit the plus sign up here and that'll pull up a form. I can keep going and creating more items as I go. What this lets me do then is once I'm at a point, whether that's back at the trailer, back at the office, and I'm ready to upload these, I can either use the upload all for multiple items, or at any time, as long as I've got an internet connection, I can click on any of these individual blue arrows, and that will upload these items back to my project. So that's really how the Capture app works. It really gives me those options to quickly walk through the site, grab that information, assign it as I need to, and upload it. And again, as soon as it's uploaded, it's going to be available to the team. Anyone who's assigned to it is going to be notified so they can start getting to work on it. So that is the Capture app. What I want to talk about now is, and show you, is the companion to that, which is the Tasks app. So as I mentioned, the Tasks app is going to let me do essentially the opposite of what I was doing with the Capture app. It's going to let me walk the site or go to my part of the action items, the tasks at hand for closeout, and I can zoom in on those. I can see that information, those markups, those images in the field as I'm working, so I have that up-to-date reference information with me, and I can take care of what I need to take care of. So in the Tasks app, when you first come in, it's going to give you a list of whatever project you happen to be part of. I have a lot of demo projects, so I've got a lot of projects here, but I'm just going to click into the project I want to work in. And that's going to bring me to a list of the punch list, in this case, punch list items that I have to work on. It remembers the filter from the previous time. So again, I've got a filter set here to just show me items for Mark Rios in this case. But if I want to change that filter, I can just go ahead, jump in here, and you can see right now that it's filtered to only display for Mark. If I wanted to go back and show all, I could do that. Or if I want to set any additional filters, I can do that as well. Excuse me. So once I'm in the screen here, what it's going to show me is on the left, I've got a list of the items. And on the right-hand side, I've got a list of, I've got sort of a dashboard view of whatever's filtered on the left here. And that is, you know, so in this case, I can see that for punch lists, I have 6 total. They all happen to be punch lists. I can see my due dates and past dues. So it just gives me another view on that information. And if I want to go ahead and click into any of these, so let's say this window one here, I need to take a look and I want to see what has to be done on that. So I can click into that, and then you'll see this form looks very much like the form we used in the Capture app to capture the information. I can see the images at the bottom here, so if I want to see the one that's marked up, I can see that, and it'll tell me, oh, the caulking's not complete. All right, that's what I need to do. Great. I can go back then to my form. I can do whatever I need to do from there. And then once I'm ready, if I have gone ahead and made changes here, again, I could, as being on site, I'm ready to kind of wrap this up and say, hey, this is completed. Let's make sure this is taken care of. Again, I can go ahead and upload photos that show that the caulking is complete. I can mark those up if I want to. I could also just pull something that's already in my list, and I can change the status. This one already happens to be set to completed, but I could set it to something else. And as part of that, I can add a comment here saying, yes, this is completed on this date and time, please verify, sign off, whatever I need to have happen there. I have the option to add some comments in as I go. But really that's how we work with the Tasks app. It really, again, gives me that information in real time available to the users, to the team, and it's updated. So if between the time one person captured it and now it's 2 or 3 days later and we're looking at it on site, if any changes happen to the item in between there, I'll get the most up-to-date information in the Tasks app. So it really just helps me keep up to date and helps the team keep up to date on what's going on in real time. Now, another piece of the Tasks app that is useful for a lot of people, let's say I'm going into a meeting and I want to get a list of just all the punch list items, or all the punch list items for Mark, or all the punch list items for my particular team, whatever I need. I just want to get a report of that information that I can share. And I want to be able to share it with folks who maybe aren't yet using the software, as an example. So I do have this option to create a report up in the upper right-hand corner here. And when I click that, it's going to create a report based on whatever my filter settings are here. So in this case, there's going to be 6 items in this report, but it's just going to pull whatever you happen to filter by. So you can obviously create a lot of different combinations of information there depending on what you need to see. And then I have 2 options. I have a full report option or a text-only report. So with the full report option, what I'm going to see is it's going to start, the first page is always going to have just a list of the items that were filtered for. So the basic information about the type, if a space is assigned, the subject, the description, those dates, and the status. But then with a full report, in addition, after that, for each of those items, it's going to pull in a thumbnail of any images that are attached. So, for example, this broken glass entry door is one. I can see very quickly what the problem is. Some of these other ones, you can see I pulled in some things from one of the sheets, and so on. So it really lets you go through and see that information as you need to. So from here, I can, and there's also hyperlinks, so you can see here if I wanted to jump to the images for that particular one, I could use those links there, or vice versa. If I'm at the bottom and I have, I'm here and I want to go back and see some of the additional details for that item, I can click back to the top of the report that way. But what I have at the top here as well is, let's say, so I want to share this, and maybe someone's not working on the project, they want to be able to see this more easily. I'm going to use the standard share option here. So what that gives me is the same share options I would have with any other, any other app in my iPad or iPhone. So if I want, I could choose to mail this to someone, copy, whatever options I have available are going to be available here as well. So let's say I wanted to mail it to somebody, I could go ahead and hit mail. It's going to create a PDF of this report, attach it to that email, and send it out. So that's how you would get it to someone outside of the app. Now, if I don't need all of the images, and maybe I just need that sort of quick list to go through for a status meeting or something like that, just so I can go through the list of items and we can kind of touch base on where everything is, then I can look at this text-only report. And the text-only report is really just giving you that, essentially that first page of the report. And so it's going to give you that same information just without those images. So again, if you have a longer list and you just want to check some of these out, have that information easily available, that's one way you can do it, and grab it from the Tasks app. Again, you can send it out, share it however you want to from the app here, from your iPad or your iPhone, and get that information to the team as it needs to be. So that's the Tasks app and the excuse me, the Capture app. I want to show you a little bit about, we've looked at the apps and how that information comes into the apps, but what I want to show you briefly is where does that go inside ConstructX. So we've talked about this, the information gets uploaded and synced back to ConstructX on a regular basis. So what I've got here is I'm in my ConstructX software, and inside my project, same project here, and I'm in our field management quality control module. So this is where all of those items get synced back to. So for example, if I'm a project manager, I may want to spend some more time in here because I can get some different logging. So we have some standard logs depending, but I can also create custom logs. If there's something more specific I want to see, like if I want to see them for a specific user, a specific company, things like that, I can narrow down and filter out what I want and then be able to view all of that information from a single location. So this is available to any user, but maybe if I'm that project manager, this gives me a little bit more of that global view of information when I'm back at the office. But again, if I click into any of these, I'm going to see the same information that I was seeing in the mobile apps. So all the things about type and the numbers, all of this kind of information, the spaces, if those are assigned, who created it, when it was assigned, and so on. And then in this attachment section, you'll see those items that were uploaded from the Capture app and from the Tasks app if that was done as well. I can see the photo, which is just going to be that basic initial photo. This particular annotation is going to have the markups in it, and so on. So if I'm up and I want to see what's going on here, I can just take a quick look, and I can see that here's the marked up version of that photo from that particular item. So again, it gives me the chance as the project manager, as someone working here, I can come in, I can make changes to this, I can assign it to someone else or multiple people, I can update any other information I need to make sure this is moving through the process as I need it to. But what's nice about this is, let's say, again, there was a reporting option in the Tasks app. Let's say I wanted to just go and see all of the quality control items here, and this will just take a minute. Like maybe I just need all my punch list items. I can filter by that. And then I also have some options if I wanted to export this to, again, to another format. If I need to share it outside of the software here, I can also view it with some additional information as well, or I can just print a simple copy of it if I need to grab a PDF of this and take it with me somewhere else. So lots of options, but again, what this really hopefully shows is that, we've got the field isn't isolated anymore, right? The job site's not isolated. We're pulling this information in from the field. We're pushing it back out to the field. It's all available in real time, and everybody has that same visibility, so it's easier to get everyone on the same page. And that's really what we're trying to do, to make that process go more quickly, make it easier for our teams to work and finish their jobs successfully. So I'm just going to flip back to my presentation for a moment here. I just want to talk about a couple other things related to the mobile apps, and then we'll look. It looks like we might have some questions, so take a look at that in just a minute here. One thing I do want to mention just quickly, we do also have something called the Plans app. It serves a lot of the same purpose. You can create those punch list items, those quality control items. The difference is here, it allows you, if you've uploaded sheets for your project to the sheet index in ConstructX, you can pull those sheets down into the Plans app and view those sheets while you're in the field. Now, this is only available for the iPad, just by the nature of trying to view sheets. It just kind of makes sense to have that real estate available. But it lets you locate and create those punch list items using those sheets as well. So as far as deployment strategies, so you decide, yep, I want to get moving with mobile apps. How do I go about that? So just some common sense kind of things, but it really makes sense. So one, especially if you have a lot of project team members, you may not have everybody on board with using the latest, greatest technology. So one of the things that makes a lot of sense is to just start with maybe a few people to kind of pilot it, be those early adopters who are a little more tech savvy, a little more comfortable with the process of working with technology, especially in the field. let them kind of lead the way, work out any kinks in your processes, and then they can in turn help out the rest of the team as you move toward rolling that out. So also just piloting one app maybe, or just pilot a couple apps on one project. Again, just don't try and roll it out. Typical of technology, don't try and roll it out to everybody all at once. Get it on a project, get people working with it and successful with it, and then it makes sense to spread it out to a wider audience. And this is a good rule for just about anything. If there's training, take it. We've got a lot of resources. For us, we have training that comes with every project, with personalized sessions for your project and your project team. So we can certainly cover things like the mobile apps as part of that. There's also information on demand in the help in our online university, and just so making sure, and whatever you're using, that you should have resources available to you to get that, help you get up to speed more quickly. All right, so we're at questions here. So let me take a look and see if we have any questions. Let's see if we have anything here. I don't see anything there. Let's see. All right. Well, I'm not seeing any questions now. If there are any, feel free to throw them into that question field. But again, I just want to, I want to emphasize that really the point of this is that we have lots of ways to make those projects more efficient, and that's our goal. We want to get through. I do have a question. Is this available on Android phone? Good question, Andrew. No, actually, unfortunately, these two apps are available on iPads and iPhones only. So on the iOS operating system. But that is certainly something we've heard. At this point, though, they're available on iOS. So if anybody has other questions, feel free to put them in while we're waiting on those. I'm just going to hop down here and give you a couple other sort of end housekeeping things here. So if you do come up with, if we hang up and you come up with questions after this point, please feel free to reach out. Or if you have any questions about anything else, please feel free to reach out. You can either email us at constructx@newforma.com, contact our sales department, or easiest thing maybe just go to newforma.com. There's a section for ConstructX there in products, and you can read up a little bit more. You can also request additional information, schedule demos. You can also view some of our other previous webinars on demand there as well. So if there's something that you're talking about that you're curious about that we didn't talk about today, so we can certainly cover that. So I have a question here is, can you talk a bit about scale? Does this make sense for a small company, or do you need to be a bit larger? So I think that's part of that is really determined by your company and how you work. However, as far as the ConstructX software and how this filters in, for ConstructX, the use of the mobile apps is actually included in the cost of the project. So they're available to you if you want to use them. If you want to try them out and they don't work, you're not out anything. So, I mean, I would say it depends on your workforce and what they're comfortable with. If you have folks who are more comfortable with it, they want to give it a go, I think it's probably a great thing to do. There's not necessarily a disadvantage to trying it. And because everything's web-based, there's really, very minimal setup and configuration. There's not much beyond downloading the mobile app and logging in with your ConstructX login so that you get access to your projects. So it's a pretty low buy-in, I would say, from that standpoint. So I think it doesn't require a lot of IT support or anything like that. So I would say it's certainly something worth trying if you might be interested in it, if you think your team might benefit from it. All right. So with that said, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up. As I said, if you have any questions after this, please feel free to reach out to us. If you need that, I believe we'll also have the recording of this available shortly at newforma.com as well. So with that, I'll say thank you to everybody for joining us today. I really appreciate your time, and hopefully we gave you some food for thought on improving how you can use some of those technology pieces, mobile apps in the field, to improve your productivity as you're working in the field on those punch list items and other fun field things. So thanks again. Take care, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day.